Okay guys, welcome to Scale Adventures. I'm Josh, as you probably know. I'm going to try and do these videos a lot more nowadays because I really enjoy doing them. So today I'm going to do a little video that I thought of last night of showing you guys how I make my links, because I don't buy my links, I make it because it's a lot cheaper and I quite enjoy doing it. And yeah, so what I've done, I've taken the 4 front suspension links off Wally Jeep because they're pretty knackered. I've got them here. So these are the bottom links, the top links, sorry. These are the top links. They're just SCX10 links, and the ball joints are all loose and wobbly, and they've only got 3mm like threaded grub screws in them that go into them. Probably a lot of you probably know that anyway, but so that's that. But what I'm going to do, I've got the bottom links here. That one, the ball joint's actually fallen out, that one, and that's how worn up they are. So that's the bottom links, top links, bottom links. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I've bought myself some threaded rod. This is 4mm threaded rod, if you guys can see how sort of thick that is. So that's 4mm, there's 2 there. And I've also bought some 5mm like aluminium sleeves. So what I do is I slide the aluminium sleeves over the threaded rod after I've put before I put the rod ends on, or the ball joint ends, so you don't see the threaded rod. Then that way, because if you leave the threaded rod exposed, it's really obviously, because it's obviously threaded, it's really coarse and you'll get hung up on everything and anything. It won't slide over rocks very easily, it won't slide over roots very easily, and it just won't look very nice, won't look very finished. So the aluminium sleeve gives the links a really nice finish. But I'm going to run you through it and basically show you how I do it. I mean, a lot of people probably got different methods in that, but this seems to work really well for me, and I use it on most of my trucks nowadays. Whereas before I used to buy my links and they were quite expensive to keep buying links, especially the amount of times I changed my bodies and that. So yeah, let's get to it. Right, so first things first, you're going to need one of these millimeter measuring things. I can't remember what they're called, something like a calib something or other. I can't remember what they're called, but you can get them from most DIY shops and that. I've got a digital one, so you can read the numbers on it really clearly, whereas if you have a normal one which hasn't got the digital, and if it's a bit worn up and if it's a bit old, you can't see the numbers on the dart on the gauge very well, whereas the digital one, it gives you an exact reading. So that's what I'm going to be using. So yeah, let's turn that on, and then what you want to do is to get your link, and we need to measure from the centre of the eyes to see what the length is. Right. Let's get that quite open because it's quite wide. Loads more. Right. Still more. Okay, so that link is 131.13mm. Okay, so basically we need to keep that size, and we're going to mock up one using these. I've bought some Traxxas Revo rod ends because they're a lot better than the SCX10 ones because they're a bit beefier, and they take the 4mm rod. So get these, crack these open, don't use your teeth, man. Just pile them up there. And then we need a length of rod. So what we need to do is cut this next. So I'll get myself ready and then I'll be back. Right, so as you can see, I've mocked it up a little bit. So this one here is the old link, obviously. And in the middle I've got the rod. And these are going to be the new link ends. So I've eyed it up at the moment, but that link is in line with that link. And the same with that link is in line with that link. So I've made a little mark where I want to cut my rod, because that's how far it will go into the rod end. Same with that end. That piece of rod there will go into that link, that rod end. Sorry, there. So so you can see where I've cut the blue. I've made the little blue mark to cut the rod. So we'll do that next, and then what we'll do is screw the rod ends onto the
end of the rod, and then we measure how much distance there is in between them to then be able to measure the sleeve and cut that and put that in. So let's cut the rod. Okay, so that's the rod cut. There you go, just cut the rod roughly with the hacksaw. It's not a very clean cut at the moment, but we'll take it over here and use this grinding wheel. We can tidy up and just get the tripod on right. There you go, we can tidy up the cut. Hopefully you can still hear me. The one thing I have learnt from doing these is when you use the grinder wheel, make sure you grind almost like a tapered edge on the end of it, like that. But then it goes into the rod eye a heck of a lot easier than if you just grind it and it's got a flat end on the end. I mean, don't go too crazy, because obviously the more you do that, the more thread you use up, and you want as much thread in the rod eye as you can get, because then it's you know, it's obviously more grip, if you like. I don't know how you explain that, but you know what I mean. But yeah, so this is now ready. That end should be fine because that was the factory end. I might have to just do a little tapered edge on that as well. But yeah, so now we're going to go and put the rod eyes on the end of this and see how we go, really, see how it looks. Another good thing I just thought of as well, which I normally do, when I'm going to put the rod eyes on the end of the rod, I like to put it in a vise like it is now. So if you try and wind it on without the vise, I find sometimes I get a bit carried away and I'll wind the rod almost out of the top of the like the shaft bit there, and it'll start poking out of the plastic at the top here because I get a bit carried away. So if you put it in a vise like this, you can only wind it down as far as the vise, you see. In that way you haven't got to worry about going too far or too little. If you get so far down it and it gets quite hard to turn, because obviously it's quite stiff like that, you can always put something in the eye of the rod end to turn it, but the only trouble is I find it flexes the end of the rod eye quite a bit. So if not, try and put a pair of gloves on and do it, or like a cloth or something. I've got quite tough hands because I'm a gardener, so this isn't too bad for me. I mean, it gets a bit tough, but try and go all the way to the bottom and see how you go. There we go, I think we're there nearly. Like that. Right, so that's all the way down to the vise. That's as far as it needs to go. So let me take that out. There we go. That's on like that. Right. Okay, so we've got both rod ends on. We've got it the same size as the other one, and it's all measured up okay. The only thing I found is that I did screw the second rod eye on a bit too far, so it was a little bit too short, but that's not a problem. You can just unscrew the rod eye a little bit to get the right size, so that's not too bad. So we've got that now, and now what we're going to do is we're going to get one of the aluminium sleeves right here, and we're going to measure it. I've got one here actually, I'll use this one. I can get it out of the packet. Alright. So we've got this, right, this is the aluminium sleeve, hollow, obviously. So what I'm going to do, all I have to do is put this, move that out of the way, let's get that there. All I have to do is put that up against there, and where it, I've got one hand at the moment, where it meets there, against the rod eye, or the plastic rod eye, drop the camera, is basically where I'm going to mark it. Let me just mount this up and I'll show you. Right, cool. So yeah, so all we've got to do is measure that, and where that meets there is I'm going to mark it. So if I just get, actually let me use this pencil for this one because it's a bit thick, the end on the Sharpie. So if we do that, you just make out the mark there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut that and then unscrew one of the rod eyes, put the sleeve on, screw the rod eye back up, and that should be the right length. Right, so there's the rod, and you've got one eye on the end. Here's my sleeve that I've cut. So that is going to slide on the end, like so. And then all we do is just do this one back up. This can be a little bit tricky because obviously we haven't got the rod inside there to hold the rest of it still while I turn this bit. So, but you persevere. Normally if you hold this end it goes on pretty easy because it's been on once before already. Screw that on. Sorry for the close-up guys, I'm just using my mobile phone like I always do. I don't have any special cameras or anything. A little bit further. There we go, and that is basically one link. You might need to just adjust it by a couple of turns, but that is pretty much there and ready to go. I've just obviously got to stick the rod eyes in. Oh, that one's gone. But that's not a problem, they just push straight in. Like that. It can be a little tricky, so if you put it on the bench like that and just push down, they go in. Do the second one. There we go, just like that. And okay, well, thanks for watching that. I hope it's interested you, and I hope you give it a go making your own ones. Yeah, so that's just a nice simple way of making them. I mean, it's not too expensive. I think the sleeves cost me about £4, if not 4 or 6 quid, and then the rod cost me about a tenner. And then you just got to buy the little rod eyes, which aren't too expensive. They're about £3 a pack. And in the long run, it works out a little bit cheaper than buying them, like some good quality ones from offline or a company or whatever online. And it's just obviously builds your skills up making stuff. So it all helps with the pennies and stuff. So but yeah, I hope you enjoyed watching that. I hope this is going to be useful to someone, because if they're interested in making their own links, and if you go through as many bodies as I do, because obviously the wheelbase has changed, yeah, so that is really handy, and you haven't got to keep running out to the RC shop, and hopefully they're open sort of thing, and when they're not, so you can just knock them up when you're at home and get it all sorted. And they look quite tidy and smart as well. I think a couple of times I've put little stickers on them to make them look like they're proper branded ones. I should probably get some little Scale Adventure stickers to put on the bottom. But yeah, the other thing I wanted to say was, sorry for crouching. I haven't got much in my shed at the moment. We're moving house, so everything's a bit upside down. So yeah, I had to improvise a bit today. Like my chair's gone, and still got my bench and a few tools in there, but a lot of it's still all packed up and ready to go. But anyway, but I'm gonna hopefully get myself a new shed, a bigger one, and we can do these videos a bit better. And in the long run, I'd like to get myself a better camera and do that, because I've always used my mobile phone. But yeah, I like to sort of build a relationship with some subscribers and get good at it, if you know what I mean. Like, I still learn how to edit stuff and that. But anyway, yeah, back to the links. I hope that's going to help some people. It helps me a lot. I think now all of my trucks that I use homemade links, and they work really well. It's really easy. There was no complicated or specialist equipment I used. It was a hacksaw, a Sharpie, a millimeter ruler if you haven't got one of the caliper things, or just measure it up against the old link if you've got the old link. If you're making it from scratch, getting the distance on the wheelbase and on the body can be a little bit tricky. I normally try and squeeze a ruler in there, or if not, try and get one of the flexible tapes they use in like fabric, when they measure in fabric and stuff. They work really well. I think you can then put that in there, measure it, and get the distance, and then you can measure it up. Like I say, you've got a little bit of leeway either end of the rod, because you can twist the rod eyes.
But yeah, have a go at it and see how you get on. And if any questions, leave them in the comments. And I hope I've earned a like and subscribe. And I'll see you on the next video. Cheers, guys.